Are stars presented better in AEW or WWE? Let's continue this topic in today's Wrestling Ramble. Once again, we are back going over former WWE stars that are now in AEW, and of course we went over the sole WWE star that had been in AEW and Cody Rhodes, and we talked about which company presented them better, how are they treated, etc. We're going to continue that, and starting off, we've got CM Punk, who has been in the headlines lately due to all the stories surrounding him. He was supposed to be a part of the debut episode of Collision that's coming up. He is no longer in the advertisements for the show. He wasn't said to be a part of the show. We're going to be figuring out soon if they will actually still be holding that debut show for Collision at the United Center in Chicago. For now, it is still called The Second Coming, which would seemingly indicate that CM Punk is going to be there. Now, reports had come out saying that Ace Steel was thought to be a producer on the show. That's what he thought, and allegedly Punk did as well. Recently, it was brought to Punk's attention that that would not be the case. Ace Steel was rehired by AEW after being fired for his involvement in the brawl between the Elite and CM Punk after All Out. So now plans seem to be up in the air, and we're not sure if CM Punk is going to be on the Saturday show for Collision. I'd imagine he will return to AEW. It just remains to be seen what takes place specifically when it comes to Collision. But not to get too off topic, where is CM Punk presented better, AEW or WWE? I would say overall his run in WWE was far better than what he has done in AEW up to this point. Could it get better with Collision and before he decides to hang up his wrestling boots and possibly retire or even just leave AEW? Absolutely, it could get better. I don't know if it would eclipse what he's done in WWE. One thing I will say is that not only is CM Punk going to have more creative freedom in AEW than he would in WWE, though that might be in jeopardy given what's happened, still, he would have more creative freedom, but also what I would say is that CM Punk's big gripe against WWE and the powers that be in that company were that when he was the WWE champion, there were a lot of shows and a lot of pay-per-views where he wasn't the main event. He wasn't the main attraction. He had to play second fiddle to the likes of John Cena and The Rock, so on and so on. And he didn't get to necessarily have the feuds he wanted at the level he wanted to have them. In AEW, he has been a main event player. From the start, that was the goal, was to put him in the main event. He's drawn great ratings for them. And I think that's another good point too, is I don't see a big ratings boost whenever he was in WWE. Everyone talks about the pipe bomb promo and how it brought ratings. You can go week by week, before and after the pipe bomb promo, there's the same amount of viewers. Nothing really changed after that. It's not to say it wasn't a good promo or it didn't get interest going, but in terms of raw viewership numbers, it didn't do anything. In AEW, he has brought in more fans. I would imagine up until all the drama with the Elite that he probably enjoyed his run in AEW more, especially given the end of his WWE run. But overall, I think WWE has done a better job presenting Punk than AEW has. Could that change with Collision? It's a possibility. Like I said, I just still don't see it eclipsing what he has done and all the accomplishments that came during his time in WWE. So I do think CM Punk was presented overall better in WWE than he has been in AEW. Moving on, we've got Claudio Castagnoli, the former Cesaro. I think a lot of people will view this as a missed opportunity on the part of WWE and maybe for AEW as well. Now in AEW, he's become the Ring of Honor World Champion. Let's just be honest, they can call it a world title. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's not the AEW world title. They've given him things to do in AEW. I just don't feel like he's made the impact that he could have. I don't see him as a main event star. That's because he hasn't been presented as one in AEW, at least in WWE. Now I know there's the famous interview that Vince McMahon did where he said Cesaro doesn't have it. There's been speculation about his accent holding him back, whatever the case may be. He's still an athletic specimen, can go in the ring like no other, have a great match with just about anybody, and in WWE towards the end of his run, he was able to have a program with Roman Reigns for the Universal title, and that was the biggest thing I think that he has done in his entire career. In AEW, he's been the Ring of Honor World Champion, had some decent matches. My only problem with that is that some of those matches aren't going to be on television. They're going to be separate on Ring of Honor, wherever you find that. And when he is on television, he's with the Blackpool Combat Club, feuding with groups, and I just think it takes away from Claudio more than it does add to him being in a group with Moxley and Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. Like I said, it's cool that they've got things for him to do, but there's so much potential. From both companies, WWE and AEW, I feel like they really missed the mark with him. I think there was potential to make him a big-time champion. At this point, I would say his run with the US title in WWE was more significant than his run with the Ring of Honor World title, because at least with the US title, he was on TV every week, having championship matches, cutting promos with the belt, trying to go out there and get heat, whatever the case may be. With the Blackpool Combat Club, he's just another guy in a group with another belt, and it doesn't mean as much to me. And as I said, the biggest thing that he did was having that high-profile feud with Roman Reigns over the Universal title before he ended up leaving for AEW. Both companies, I think, missed the mark with him, and there was more that could be done. So far, I think WWE has presented him better than AEW has. But we'll see if that changes. So there's part 4 of WWE stars and how they're presented in AEW and which company presents them better. That's all I've got. I'll see y'all later.